Hi there, my name is Eric Harper. I lead global product marketing for SnapAV, as well as our expansion efforts into security and commercial adjacent markets. Since the day we stood up AnswerRocket on our data, I've been a power user and advocate of the tool. The ability to ask simple yet powerful natural language questions has been a real game changer for our teams internally. With AnswerRocket, we've empowered our entire organization to self-serve with data and analysis in ways that they never could before using our old tools. So it leads them beyond just simple reporting and to truly actionable insights. My team uses AnswerRocket daily and in many weeks, even hourly, to better understand and really understand the business questions that we're trying to answer for the organization. I own revenue and margin for a certain segment of our customers. So my team needs to be able to self-serve with real-time data to understand exactly what's happening in the business, and more important, how to inform future actions that we need to take to drive that business. I'll give you one example. In our security and commercial market verticals, which is a segment of customers, I wanted to have visibility to prior week's performance, including things like revenue, margin, number of customers, which storefront they were purchasing in, which categories they were purchasing in. And so we built a dashboard that gave us that in AnswerRocket. And now anyone on the team can go in and drill further into these slices to better gain understanding on their specific area. There was a period of time a couple of years ago where, unfortunately, our team was no longer able to use AnswerRocket. We had been using the system for a couple of years at that point. There's this thing called the Sean Ellis test that you may have heard of before that some companies use to test product and market fit, and it goes something like this. How would you feel if you could no longer use X, Y, or Z product? And for us, during that sort of time of dark territory, if you will, when we did not have access to AnswerRocket, it was not just a thought experiment, but it was actually very painful for us. We'd gotten accustomed to real-time access to data, empowering our teams to use it. As the saying goes, it's really true that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. The backstory on why we were not able to use it was really internal to SnapAV. We had made the decision to prioritize a lot of M&A activity as well as some organic expansion at the expense of our short-term ability to have really clean views into our data. And so we had a period of time where multiple ERP systems across multiple companies that we had either purchased or were integrating into ours made it tough to stand up AnswerRocket on this unified data platform. And so we learned firsthand kind of what the value was in the product and market fit using the Sean Ellis test for AnswerRocket, because we were unfortunately having to go back to our old ways of sort of band-aid approaches to data and stitching things together. And we got it done, but always with an eye to have AnswerRocket back, and we were very happy to do so. Prior to AnswerRocket, we had done like most companies do. We, as we called it, stitched things together with duct tape and twine. A combination of transactional exports from our ERP systems. So, of course, a lot of work in Microsoft Excel and spreadsheets and pivot tables. And for basic analysis of typical data like number of customers, revenue, profit, those methods worked okay for a while. But clearly the data is not live. You're pulling it out of a system, so you're working with offline data. The interpretation of the data is in the eye of the person that's viewing it versus having consensus and standardization around how you measure it. So those are some of the limitations there. And of course, just the inability to do a lot of the deeper, more complex questions that AnswerRocket provides. I'd say that the upside of the brute force approach that we did early on was really it forced us to understand what was important in our business and what were the things that we were trying to learn. Too often, I think companies look for a solution to be the panacea of their problems without actually understanding what the problems are to begin with. And so AnswerRocket was the perfect tool after we had gone through the pain and suffering of the manual way of doing things. And so we were really excited to find a solution that really met our needs. After using some competitive offerings, I'd say probably some of the most important ones to me and for our teams are probably some that are obvious to the Answer Rocket team, but they're really the kind of 101 level capabilities of natural language Q&A, the ability to pivot or deep dive into further information. To give you an example, and I've been in numerous meetings where I'll sit there on the keyboard and pull up Answer Rocket and start drilling into further and further depth of questions to understand the topic that we're talking about. So, for example, if we were evaluating the performance of a certain family of products, being able to drill into those products, say last week, and then understand which customers purchased last week, or which SKUs were the most popular. It really gives you, within seconds, the ability to dive into all kinds of aspects and slices of the business. And probably the second most important feature to me would be the ability to take those reports that I mentioned. So you have all this great data and turn those into dashboards and visualizations that you can then share with other team members. And so, as I mentioned earlier in my group, we have these dashboards. They get emailed automatically on Tuesday morning after the prior week close of data. And then they're able to then go in and as I said before, go in and dive deep into the data. Who were my customers last week? What were they buying? Did I have somebody that was buying in prior weeks who's no longer buying? And if so, what do I go do about it? So those are a couple quick examples. Years ago, based on customer feedback, we had released a new product line that had upgraded features and was going to replace the old product line. And in the early days, the data would show that, hey, things were working great. Our customer counts were increasing, our revenues were increasing, but we almost missed something that was underlying that was pretty important to know. And that was, we had an almost wholesale swap of new customers for old customers. And so in creating what we thought the market wanted, we attracted a whole new tranche of buyers, but unfortunately lost a lot at the same time. And so with a tool like Answer Rocket, we are now able to do those kinds of projects or analysis much more seamlessly. We had to do it manually back then because this predated our relationship with Answer Rocket. So having that kind of time savings to be able to dig into true customer behavior, there's a tool that we built in collaboration with the Answer Rocket team that we call our migration report. And what that enables us to do is to go in and look at a variety of cuts of data in a matter of seconds that would take an analyst team sometimes hours, if not days, to understand. So looking at first-time buyers in a category to maybe do a follow-up net promoter score to understand what they thought about the category, or looking at those who have attrited. If they purchased last year and haven't purchased yet this year, why is that? Here's a list for the sales team to do some call downs to understand what's going on. Or even trying to do some proactive attrition prevention by looking at decline over time. So maybe there's a tranche of customers that were our best customers last year who now are in the bottom tercile of customers. And is it just project-based? Is it market-based? Or did we do something potentially to send them somewhere else? So it's really great to get that kind of visibility, to be able to run that analysis at any time you want, not have to go to a business intelligence team to give you those answers. It's all right there at their fingertips, self-serve.